Morning, everybody. It is 8:10 a.m., November 12th. Welcome to my channel. Marcus pulled back a little bit yesterday. Needed a little breather. Is it bearish? No. So, um, we have CPI tomorrow. We have a lot of Fed speak today, and no surprise, right now we're at the most share price of the week as I'm speaking. Okay, in the ES. So it's kind of like you're in the middle of balance. Um, so that's what's going on right now. All right. Without further ado, welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. I use market profile and volume profile to find structure in these markets, along with supply and demand, gamma exposure levels, the most trader price of the month, the week, and the previous day. Also the year. Okay, didn't mention that. All right, and this is what I do. This is what I look at to find structure in the markets. All right, it's my edge, and hopefully I share that with you. Okay, and you can see the power of how I look at the markets. Okay, so every day I do this at 8:10 a.m. Hopefully you can come join me, subscribe. Almost hitting that 200 subscribers. Hopefully someone who's new can subscribe and we can get over 200. I do this every day at 8:10 a.m. Please have a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, and join me. Give you the lowdown on what's going on, the story of the markets. I give you the economic calendar, the leaders and the laggards. Basically one-stop shop so you can just hear what is going on. Okay. Now, typically, we do all that, go over all that stuff, like I said, daily charts, main event at 8:30, go over ES and NASDAQ futures for analysis and set up a blueprint for long and short trade scenarios. And then once the market opens, new data happens, and that's where I put on trades, right? You're either going to put risk on or put risk off, okay? And hopefully you guys check out my YouTube shorts. That's where I give some educational trading videos of why I enter the trades I do. Okay, I also post them on X, that's at Gonzo719. Okay, and I also post them on my TikTok, Gonzo719 Trader. Hopefully, you guys can check those out. And of course, as always, smash the like button if you enjoy this. You can wait to the end if you like, or you can do it now. All right. So let's get into futures watch list here and see what's moving markets this morning. Okay. So the VIX is up 2%. All right, 15.24. The dollar is up 0.86. Crude. It always does it to me. All transparency. I got long on crude. Yesterday got stopped out, and now it is running up. So that's always nice when you get up and you can see what your theory was, and it's coming to fruition without you. That's always nice. 10-year yield's up 0.55. Silver is up 0.09. Nasdaq's down 0.09. ES down 0.12. The markets are pretty much flat. Dow's down 0.13. Gold's down 0.20. 30-year bonds being sold down 0.29. Bitcoin setting all-time highs is down 0.52. Russell's down 0.61. Ether is down 2.71. All right, that's the futures for you. Now, moving on to the Mag 7 Plus, we have NVIDIA up top of the leaderboard. They got a nice price target raise this morning. All right, remember, they still have earnings coming. Uh, let's see, Amazon's up 0.26, and then you got a bunch of laggards. All right, let's see who's really lagging here. So Eli Lilly down 0.30, Boeing down 0.34, AMD down 0.51. Tesla is on fire and maybe taking some profits. They're only down 1.14. Coinbase down 2.78. I mean, Coinbase was at 100 and something 40 bucks not too long ago. It's at 315. Crazy. Nuts. All right, moving on. Top sectors. We have Home Depot reported earnings. Okay, and they were pretty good. They're up 1.40. Walmart is up 0.34. PepsiCo up 0.24. All right, and Chevron is slightly up. It's not nothing to talk about. Who's down any significant? Disney is down 0.21. Visa down 0.34, Uber down 0.35, Salesforce down 0.51, Qualcomm down 0.61, and Snowflake down 0.93. All right, so moving on to the swing trade list here. And let's see who's leading here. Shopify. Now I know Shopify, Home Depot, Disney report earnings. I'm not sure if Disney did yet. I don't think they did, but Shopify is up 14.72%. They're over 100 they're at 103. Okay. Twilio got a price target raise. They're up 1.33. AbbVie up 1.13. Now earlier I believe they were down. I'm pretty sure. But nevertheless, AMC's up 0.89, Lowe's up 0.65 with sympathy to Home Depot. All right, that's really it. Not big movers today. Remember CPI tomorrow, Fed speak today. So Riot is down 4.68, Donald Trump down 4.28, SoFi down 4.04, DraftKings down 3.98, Mara Mining down 3.28, SoundHound down 2.83, Micron down 2.72, Alibaba down 2.63, GameStop down 2.38. I will give you the 2%ers here. Affirm down 2.32, Palantir down 2.20, GameStop down 2.2, and Block down 1.92. Okay, so see, maybe some profit taking happening. That's what it looks like. Let's see here. Let's move on to the guts, the sectors here. Leading the pack, and it's not much of a leader, is Staples, is up 0.06. That's not a leader. All right, so let's just go down to see the bottom three here. Is Basic Materials down 0.18. That's not a market mover. Financials it's down 0.22. Now why is financials down 0.22? Let me see the financial stocks. Berkshire Hathaway's flat. JP Morgan's down a little bit. Just trying to see where that's coming from. Visa. It's probably because of Visa. Okay. And rounding at the bottom is semis. All right, so semis is your laggard this morning, down 0.35. Okay. Nvidia is your little bright spot, but I think the rest of the semis are down. Okay. And now yesterday, that's what was the laggard, was tech. So, and then the rest of the market followed. Okay, so that's the wrap up of the watch lists. All right. Now, let's move on to the economic calendar here. All right. Now, today, we have a bunch of Fed speak today. Fed Waller at 10 a.m., Fed Barkin at 10:15 a.m., 2 p.m. Fed Kashkari, and then 5 p.m. That's not going to really affect us as day traders. Fed Harker and Fed Barkin at 5:30. All right, tomorrow's CPI. Tomorrow is CPI with more Fed speak after. All right, so we'll have to see what the market does today. The volume's actually pretty decent this morning. Remember, yesterday banks were closed, bond market was closed. So today it should be more normal of a market. Okay. What's going on with earnings? Let's just look at earnings real quick. And let's see, after the close yesterday, anything of to note? Not really. Before the open, there you go. Shopify, Plug, Home Depot, ON, Hertz, Novavax, and Kronos. All right, today, after the close, SoundHound, Marathon, Kava, Spotify, Oxy, Denham Petroleum, yeah, Instacart. Now, before the open tomorrow, anything big here? Bitcoin Depot. That's really it. All right, that's it for the earnings. All right, let's go over some news here. So, Home Depot raises annual same-store sales forecast. Home Depot raises annual same-store sales forecast, betting on resilient demand from professional contractors to offset weak spending on bigger projects such as kitchen renovations. Shell wins appeal against landmark Dutch climate ruling. Apple told by EU to end geo-blocking on services such as App Store. JetBlue will, this is kind of crazy, JetBlue will halt flights to Haiti through December 2nd after aircraft struck by a bullet. That's pretty nuts. Now, U.S. dependence on Canada's oil should deter tariffs, industry says. All right. Let's see if there's anything in here. Oh, Chipotle looks like the company was sued on Monday by shareholders for concealing how many of its restaurants were skimping on portions, forcing the chain to spend more on ingredients and hurting its stock price. Interesting. All right. I think that's it for today for that news. All right. Let's just check real quick if the juice has anything. OPEC cuts global oil demand growth forecasted for a fourth month. Let's see what else. Looks like Trump picks Kristi Noem to serve as Homeland Security Secretary. That's about it there. Not going to harp on this too much. Let's go to upgrades and downgrades. So upgrades. Let's look at those. Let's see. Bristol Myers Squibb got an upgrade. Let's see who else. Sentinel One. That's an IT company. They got an upgrade from a hold to a buy. Twilio upgraded, as I said before, 80 to 120 price target. Raise with equal weight to overweight. Okay. Going on to downgrades. All right. Downgrades. Nothing really in here that Ross Stores got a downgrade. That's the right there. Initiations now. Nvidia. Nvidia got initiated with Redburn Atlantic. Price target of 178 and a rating of a buy. That was the one that's probably moving Nvidia today. All right, price target changes here. Let's go to price target raises first, which there's only two here. Delta Airlines target raised, and we have no lowers here. But there was more. This list sometimes is not the best. Not the best, but that's okay. That's all right. Let's move on to daily charts. Let's look at those dailies together. So we made a higher low for the fifth day in a row. Okay, so here you go. Well, actually, probably six. So there's a higher low. There's one, two, three, four, five. It's the fifth time we made a higher low. All right, even though we pulled back, we still closed above where we did on Friday. Even with that little pullback, right? Still got bought up. And you notice the little orange here. That's last week's highs, right? So we just closed underneath last week's highs. Kind of that was where we opened, kind of pushed up and couldn't hold last week's highs. Not bearish. Tiny, tiny correction. Very tiny, right? It's not even like really, didn't really mean anything. Okay, where are we at now? 598.40. 598.40. Like right here. You're kind of like in the middle of the session, which is not the best place to be. Okay. Now, what's happening is, what could happen now is what the SPY is going to do, it might start just balancing here, creating value. All right. Consolidating, consolidating, and waiting for its next move. All right. We did just have a meteoric rise. Yesterday could made people take a little profits. Okay. And then new money could get involved if we pull back and just kind of hover, right? So let's look at the futures together. So here's futures. So you can see in futures, big move up. And now we've kind of, look, one session, two sessions today. We are balancing. Okay. Creating value here, which is bullish, right? You're not pulling back strong. You're moving sideways. Okay. So keep Now there's last week's highs right there. We just couldn't hold above that yesterday. But what is that? I mean, really, we just been making all-time highs, right? We made all-time highs yesterday. All right. So moving on to the Qs. All right. So the Qs had a nice little pullback yesterday, right? Little deeper pullback, and then got bought up, right? They didn't close above, almost did, above Friday's close, but still a nice little correction. And a lot of tech was down early yesterday, so it was relatively weak yesterday. Was tech, okay? The rest of the market was not, but tech was relatively weak. All right, so that's why the Nasdaq had a deeper pullback. Now where are we at now? 513.55. 513.55. So you're right, basically close to the close of yesterday, and you're in the middle of the session. Again, not a great place to be at all. All right, let's look at the live look at futures to see price action. So look, you're just consolidating now. Nothing to fear here. Look, you pulled back past those lows. Look, you tried to go down again, got bought up, right? So the general consensus right now, it's price should probably move higher right now. As far as the structure, I mean, anything can happen, but we have a new president coming, where he's going to possibly make things easier for banks, cut corporate taxes. Um, so not a lot of bearish. I don't think. I think either candidate would have been. It usually turns out that both Republican or Democrat are bullish for markets anyway. But just straight off the bat, Kamala wanted to raise corporate taxes, and Donald wants to move them down. So that's how that goes. And he loves Bitcoin. That's why Bitcoin's going crazy too, right? So moving sideways here. So have to really see what's going on. All right, moving on to the triple-headed monster here. Moving on, let's go to check out that 10-year yield. The crazy 10-year yield. All right, so we're in a range here, right? Pushed all the way up to this resistance level, came all the way back down to here. Now pushing back up, right? CPI is coming, so just have to see. And remember, we just cut rates. I don't know how much left this has to keep going higher. Okay, we'll have to see. All right. Now, let's check out that second head. The dollar. Now, the dollar, see, is not in a little range. It's pushing higher. Okay, now moving up to a key resistance area. Okay, moving up to a key resistance area. Now, generally, a higher dollar is not good for equities, not good for commodities, generally, right? And you can see gold pulling back. All right, now they were not really, they're usually inversely correlated. But even this big run up, gold was moving up, so it's not always 100% in line. But now gold pulled back pretty violently. Dollar's going up, euro should be going down, and the yen should be going down. Okay. Now look at our VIX. Our VIX obviously got a crush after the election, and now we're hanging around 15. Okay, that's a more normal VIX, and there's not much fear. Okay. This was a hedge. This is all hedging for the election, and then boom. And really, what this was I think people thought that the election would be very, what am I looking for? The word, like like the night of the election, we would have not a true winner. It wouldn't be like a landslide, but it was. Once it was, and Trump was announced the winner, like I think it was like 3 in the morning. There's no more decision. There was going to be no controversy. So that's why the VIX crushed, basically. Okay. Now we move on to the main event here. And that would be our market profile and our volume profile, right? And let's just see what's going on. We can look at this weekly profile now. Okay. Let's look at what we did yesterday. Okay. Opened up here. Now, remember, I put these levels on my charts now that really are helpful. There's last week's highs right there. Okay. So that's on my chart now. I can see it all the time. So when the market opened, it opened above last week's highs. Tried to go higher. Tried, right? Couple times. Couple times. And what happened is the market opened up and it came down. It did come down a little lower and then got bought up and failed. You can see here it failed. All right. And then eventually it pushed down all the way to here. And what happened was the overnight lows right here at one point matched up perfectly. Okay, maybe I can just show you what I'm talking about here. Okay, let's maybe clean this up. I want to show you what happened. You can see it here. So see these overnight lows? See how this B period, that's a B period. That's the second half hour of the market. See how they lined up perfectly? Right? And remember, the most traded price of the week was here. So when we came up all the way to here and failed in C period and D period, I actually got short up here. Okay? And I was holding, right? And this market started doing this and this. And me, the bonehead, I took some profits on here, had no risk in the trade, and I winded up trying to get cute with my stop. And I pushed it a couple of like a point lower. Because I was like, the market actually internally was firming up a little bit. And then it nipped me out. And then look what happened. Boom, boom. So that's a lesson that you don't micromanage when you have no risk. I had no risk in the trade. And then it fell big time. Why? Because of this weak low that was formed and this most traded price. And then people, dumped their positions a little bit. And then it was bought up. But I just wanted to show you guys what happened yesterday. And the unfortunate short I had that would have paid pretty nicely. And I made some money on it, but at the end of the day, you don't micromanage. Like I had no risk. It wasn't like it was moving against me quickly in the beginning and I cut it. I had no risk. So, so besides that, going over that, which is not fun to go over, but that's what happened yesterday. That's why it moved down. Okay. Now let's look at our profile. All right. So we have, obviously some excess here. Now we have value area, right? It's all this area and a little bit of excess. That little bit of excess was put in the overnight session yesterday. Okay. In the overnight session yesterday. Most traded price of the week, 60.25. Right? Right here. Price is right there. So we're in the middle of balance. It's a place you do not want to start a trade because you're looking to get chopped up. Okay? Now, if you're a scalper, ignore me, right? But as far as like entering a trade, that's probably the worst place you can enter a trade because, look, it's the most place people do business. 60.25 for the last week is the most trades, right? So that's just the most congestion, the most traffic. There's shorts and longs in there. It's a battle. I don't want to be in a battle. Okay. Now again, if you entered here and said, "Oh my God, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I got long and it worked out for you." Okay, that still doesn't change what I'm saying, right? Because the person who got short is in pain, right? So it's just not. You want to trade edges a little bit where there's less traffic. Okay. Now let's look at some levels together. Okay. Let's look at some levels together. Now we do have a weak high, a low here, 60.13 to 60.12, right here. That's yesterday's lows and the overnight low. So in the overnight, we still pushed down all the way down here and got bought up. So that becomes susceptible to get broken. There is a big demand zone down here though. Okay. And like I said, this market's bullish. So take your profits. Be careful when you're shorting because I don't think they're short-lived. All right, they're short-lived. All right, now you can see here our inventory on the overnight is close to, I'd say, 90% net short. But guess what? That doesn't matter anymore because price is up here. Okay, that negates that edge. Okay, that negates that edge. Okay, so I would say there's a chop zone here. It's in this area. I'd want to avoid. All right, in this area, right? Here's yesterday's most traded price. Here's the most traded price of the week. You're asking to get chopped up in here. Now, I'll explain later how there might be an entry in here if you see something, but just right there, you're going to probably do this until we figure out where we're going to go. Okay? So, what am I looking at here? We have a couple levels here. So, I would say this is an important level here. What's this level? Yesterday's most traded price, 60.35.50. Okay? So 60.35, I'll just call it, and the overnight high. Okay, that's an area to look at. Now the overnight low, the 60.12.25 to 60.13 is the week low. All right, those areas. Okay, now remember I said this area is choppy, but if you touch the outside of this area or the bottom of this area, that's probably where I'd want to be interested in getting at, to look at something. Because overnight high and this, sellers want to defend this, right? And buyers want to defend this. So that's basically what I'm going to be looking at. All right. That's basically what I'm looking at. Now you have this is, I believe, a 12-hour supply zone here. Pretty big. And if you look at a chart, you can see how many hours there were till we broke lower. It's a big supply zone. And then another supply zone here. So I would say right now the market has some work to do to go higher. I definitely can, but there's a lot of overhead supply. Okay, there's a lot of overhead supply. All right. Now I think we can get right into a scenario here. And let's start out with the scenario here, and we'll go with the bull. Okay, so what am I interested in? Right here, 60.13, that week low to 60.12. All right, into this demand zone. It's a 12-hour demand zone. It's pretty strong. This has not been tested yet. Okay, so what could happen here? Like I said, if the market happens to come into this area, I want to see it's gonna probably move a little. If it does move first, it will be a quick move in here. Now, if you get a quick, now if the market is not very weak in the internals, and you get a quick kind of recovery and you higher lows, that's a good long. Probably first target should be around the most traded price of the week, 60.25, and see if you can cut through this supply and try to make your way up here. Like I'm saying that in a struggling way because that's a lot of overhead supply to get through, and there's CPI tomorrow. But that is definitely a trade that I'd be interested in. Okay, now it's probably, I'm being honest with you, the one I'd be looking at the most, because if I'm in here, I'm in chop zone. To get long right here with all the supply, that's going to be tough. Can it work? It can, but it's a harder road. All right, so I'd like to get down here, so then all the shorts that came down here, I could then get them in pain, get a nice move up, and then I just hold and see what happens, right? That I just hold and see what happens. All right, now as far as the short side, okay, big supply zone here and here, okay, and the market is right at the most traded price of the week. All right, now remember I said the key levels, right? There's that 60.35 right here, right, in the overnight high, and you have supply right here, okay. So, and that 60.25 is kind of your bull bear line, all right, all right. So you see all the volume in the overnight here. You see it? It's right here. Those are most likely longs now. because we pushed down and now we're up here and we're balancing, right? So that 60.25 becomes a very important level. Okay, very important. And remember the week low. So for bears, okay. So what I would like to see is a push up, right? Push up, test that area right here, 60.35 into supply, break the overnight highs, and see what happens here. I want to see what reaction you get here. Do you get this and rejection, lower high? Then I might think about, now remember, because we pushed out of this chop zone, I wouldn't mind then coming through here and seeing what we do here. Remember, 60.25 is the most traded price of the week. If we can take that out and kind of hold, then we're going to test this week low, 60.13, 60.25, 60.12. Okay, big demand zone here. So that would make me definitely cautious. But I would be trailing my stop and see how far can we get. This is a naked VPOC right here. It's about 59.94. Naked VPOCs are just an untested most traded price of a day. Okay. I don't see us getting too far lower, but this could be a potential target. Okay. Now, there is big supply up here. Okay. Now, if the market happens to come up into this area, it's big supply, right? Now, here's, remember, last week's highs. I want to see what it does here as well. If you come up here and you start rejecting, then you might come down here and you might just balance off the rest of the day. Okay. So this is what I'm looking at. And we have CPI tomorrow, okay? All right. Moving on to the Qs. To the NASDAQ. All right. All right. Now, in the NASDAQ, took the profile. Big, thin volume, right? You got single prints here. Then value is right here. And then you got to move up, right? There is last week's highs. Could not hold them here, right? That's a little bit of single prints actually right there. Okay. Now, remember how I said how powerful the most traded price of the weeks are, right? Well, there's your most traded price of the week, and there's price right on it. That most traded price of the week is 21210. And it's right on it. So the worst place possible. I don't trade there. You usually don't initiate trades there, right? It's just everybody's agreeing upon this price over the last week. You see how like all this price is just traded in this area, right? It's just a place you just don't want to start a trade. Okay. It doesn't mean if you entered and you were right and it worked that I'm wrong. It just means that there's a reason why it's the most traded price. There's a magnets, and you usually when you start a trade there, you sit in it and it will just do this until eventually it will do that, and then it's a gamble. It's a 50-50 bet of what happens. Okay. Enough of beating that drum. All right, now as far as the NASDAQ, you can see we opened up, only pushed up this much. And then, remember, tech was relatively weak. Pushed through that most traded price. Okay. And then created this week low right here with Friday's lows. Right. Once it pushed there, then you got the nice sell off here to right here. But it was bought up. Okay. All right. Now, you have a kind of a balanced profile right here in the NASDAQ. Look, very balanced, very bell curvy, all right? And you're in the middle, all right? In the middle of balance. This is the middle of yesterday's session right here. This is the middle of the overnight session. Horrible trade location, right? I'm just trying to make you understand that. Not a great trade location, okay? Now you have big supply up here, big supply right here. That's what I'm saying. That the market has a lot to do to push higher. A lot. All right. So let's look at some levels together. Okay. Let me see if we can have somewhat of some type of levels here that we can work with here. Now, of course, we're in the middle. We're just in the middle of balance, boy. Okay. So what I would say right here would be this area here, the overnight high, 21249, this area with this supply and the last week's highs, okay, I would look at to see what the market does there. Okay, now there is single prints right here. See the thin volume here. Okay, if that's resistant, that's bearish. All right, now we got our big level here is the most traded price week. It just happens to be in the middle of the muddle, so it's not like on the edge or something. Okay, we will use that. Okay, we will use that, but I would say this area, it's a fairly large area, the 211.21 or the 211.29 down to here, and we'll include these single prints. Okay, because this is weak foundation here. Okay, if you lose this area, you're probably going to test the bottom of this session here, and there's a gap here in single prints right above it. So a weak market will take that out, but the bulls will want to defend it. Okay, the bulls will want to defend it. Okay, now let me just look real quick. There might be demand that I didn't put in here. Let's just see. Is there demand here? I don't think so. Okay, so I'm gonna say it. I don't like this chart as much as I do the ES. It's just in the middle of the muddle, right? And I'm not getting clear levels. Yes, there is a clear level here, and there is a clear level, but not generally how clear I like them to be. Okay, so we'll get right into scenarios here. All right, but it being in the middle of balance, in the middle, right, is just not great. Okay. Now, one little tip here. See, this is value area high for the week. This is value area low. That's generally where probably in this type of market you might want to look for shorts above here and look for longs below here. It's just selling at high value, buying at low value, right? That's what you want to do with a house. That's a general tip. All right, okay. All right, let's go right into scenarios here. All right, we'll start off with the bull case. Remember, I said this area, 2129, 211.29 to 2, I would even call it maybe even 210.50. Let's just get this area, okay? I want to see what the market does as it comes down here. If it's not that weak, that's probably a good long opportunity, right? Now we have single prints here. Remember, single prints, that's when Elfie comes in the mix. Toothpick holding up an elephant, right? So right now we have this toothpick holding up all this, right? And I'm not saying it's bearish. I'm just saying be cognizant of this area because it cuts both ways with the Elfie, right? The single prints. Because if market comes down, right? Let's say we come down here in this area and you get support in single prints, which usually should not be supportive, that is a sign, and that's bullish. And we do higher lows, we're going to go right back up to balance, right back up to that 21210 level. Okay, you generally in a weak market you cut through single prints like a hot knife through butter, right? That toothpick cannot hold the elephant up, but if it does, that is bullish, and that could be a bear trap. All right, so that's something I'm looking at. All right, probably the actually that I'm looking at the chart, probably the only thing I'm looking at for a long. So I want to see this area tested. Okay. Now again, we could drop farther. There's big demand zones down here, but right now, I don't know if I'd want a long down here. All right, I'd have to see. Okay. Now, as far as a bear, okay, remember we have our 21210, this level. We have the most traded price of yesterday, which is right here. Now remember this level again. I'm going to highlight it again, 219 in here. Okay, and then we have our supply up here, and we have the last week's highs in the overnight high. All right. So if we manage to push up, now actually let's say this. Let's say we come up here, we try to take out the overnight high, we reject, right? This is why I'm not a fan of this Nasdaq. You have to cut through this big balance area, right? And then I'd want to see us hold underneath that to then try to make this move down here. Now remember, if the market's super weak in this area, there's no support here. And you could straight out clean this out. Go right to the top of the gap around 210. Try to fill the gap around 209.35. Okay, but see, being that this is such a big level, you want to see a rejection up here, but then hold prices underneath it. And if the market's weak, that's your chance. Okay. Now, of course, if we push up here really quickly and the market's not that strong, then this is not a bad short, because then you could take some profits here and then see if you can wait for this to drop. Okay. But that's kind of what I'm looking at for the NASDAQ. All right. And that's going to do it. That's going to do it. Sorry, Chief, I don't have time right now to do the Tesla. I could do it maybe tomorrow. But it's been, I mean, pretty much parabolic lately. So there you have it, folks. We have our plans. I like the ES better today. So we'll have to see how it pans out, but we have our plan. All right. Now, what was I gonna say? All right. So anyway, hopefully, you enjoyed my content and you can smash that like button. Right. If you're new, please subscribe. Set an alert. Do this every day at 8, 10 a.m. Join your boy. Let you know what's going on with the market, the story of the markets, what's going on, the leaders and the laggards. It's a one-stop shop. And you get trade scenarios, right? Trade scenarios, right? And you could always see my trading videos on X at Gonzo719. Also my YouTube shorts. Check out my YouTube shorts. And you can check out my TikTok, Gonzo719 Trader. Okay? All right. That will do it. Hope everybody has a great day. Stay patient, stay green, and I'll see everybody tomorrow.